The architecture of power, centralization versus decentralization, the map beneath the map. Before borders were drawn on paper, before laws were written, before currencies carried symbols of authority, there was something more fundamental. Structure, invisible frameworks that existed before names, before flags, before ideology. Frameworks that decided who could move, who could decide, who could store value, who could survive disruption. These frameworks were not debated. They were not voted on. They emerged. Power does not begin with weapons. It does not begin with money. It does not begin with belief. It begins with architecture. Every civilization, from ancient river valleys to modern digital networks, was shaped by the same underlying question. Where does control live? At the center, or distributed across the edges? This episode is not an argument. It is not persuasion. It is a map, because history does not repeat opinions. It repeats structures under stress. Why centers form? Imagine the first dense human settlement. Food is scarce. Threats are constant. Information moves at walking speed. Every mistake is fatal. Every delay has consequences. In this environment, decentralization is not freedom. It is fragmentation. Survival requires coordination. Coordination requires convergence. So a center emerges, not by conquest, not by ideology, by necessity. A place where grain is stored, records are kept, disputes are resolved, decisions are synchronized. This is not tyranny. It is logistics. Centralization appears wherever. Resources are limited. Risks are shared. Coordination costs are high. The center reduces uncertainty. And uncertainty is the oldest enemy of survival. Temples became banks because storage creates authority. Whoever controls surplus controls continuity. Palaces became treasuries because protection attracts value. Archives became instruments of power because memory controls legitimacy. What is remembered is what is enforced. The center does not merely organize society, it defines reality within its walls. The city and the gate visualize a walled city. Stone walls, narrow streets. One main gate. All trade flows through it. All taxes pass through it. All information is filtered through it. The gate is efficiency made visible. Inspect once. Control once. Enforce once. The gate simplifies reality. It turns complexity into process. But it also concentrates reality. Every merchant, every message, every threat, forced through a single point. The more value that flows through one gate, the more fragile that gate becomes. Guard it too tightly, and trade slows. Guard it too loosely, and control leaks. Burn the gate. The city starves. This is the paradox at the heart of centralization. Efficiency creates dependence. Dependence creates vulnerability. Roads, empires, and scale empires do not expand by conquest alone. They expand by infrastructure. Rome's most powerful weapon was not the sword, it was the road. Standardized widths, predictable routes, centralized maintenance. Roads allowed rapid troop movement, reliable tax collection, administrative uniformity, cultural synchronization. A road is not just a path, it is a promise that orders will arrive, that resources will move, that authority will be enforced. But every road led back to Rome, which meant Rome carried the weight of the entire system. Maintenance failures accumulated silently, budgets tightened, labor thinned, oversight weakened. When roads decayed, when coordination slowed, the empire fragmented, not because people rebelled, but because logistics failed. Control was not overthrown, it dissolved. Scale creates distance. As centralized systems grow, distance increases. Between decision and consequence, between policy and reality, between center and edge, information degrades as it travels. Signals become summaries. Summaries become statistics. Statistics become abstractions. By the time feedback reaches the center, it is already outdated. The center governs a simplified version of the world, and simplification always hides risk. The efficiency trap. Centralization excels in stable environments. It reduces duplication, enforces standards, scales predictability, efficiency, rewards sameness. Sameness simplifies oversight. Uniform systems are easier to manage, but stability is temporary. Shocks are inevitable. War, plague, climate shifts, financial collapse. When shocks arrive, centralized systems face a unique burden. They must respond everywhere at once. Decision-makers become bottlenecks. Queues form. Approvals slow. Feedback loops distort. Bad data travels upward. Delayed decisions travel downward. Errors propagate instantly. Efficiency turns into fragility. The system that once prevented chaos now amplifies it. Decentralization as a response to failure. Decentralization does not emerge from philosophy. It emerges from breakdown. When centers fail repeatedly, edges adapt, local markets form, guilds organize, city-states assert autonomy, parallel systems appear, not because they are superior, but because they survive. Picture a network instead of a city. No walls, no single gate, multiple paths. If one path fails, traffic reroutes. Failure becomes local, contained, survivable. Decentralization trades efficiency for endurance. It accepts redundancy. It tolerates disagreement. It allows experimentation. Most experiments fail, but failure is not fatal. Redundancy is not waste. From the center, redundancy looks inefficient. From the edge, redundancy looks like insurance. Multiple suppliers, multiple routes, multiple authorities. Decentralized systems pay a constant cost to avoid catastrophic loss. Centralized systems minimize cost until the bill arrives all at once. Speed versus survival. Centralized systems move fast. Orders travel downward instantly. Resources mobilize quickly. Decentralized systems endure. They respond slower, but they adapt locally. This is the trade-off that never disappears. Speed wins battles. Survival wins centuries. History oscillates between the two. After collapse, decentralization spreads. After chaos, centralization returns. Not because humans change their minds, but because conditions change. Incentives, not intentions. No system depends on good people. Systems depend on incentives. In centralized structures, rewards move upward. Risk is socialized downward. Obedience is efficient. Dissent is costly. In decentralized structures, rewards are localized. Risk is personal. Innovation is tolerated. Failure is instructive. Neither system is moral. Both shape behavior. And behavior determines outcomes. People do not betray systems. Systems incentivize behavior that appears as betrayal. Failure patterns. Watch how systems fail. Centralized failures are dramatic, sudden, total. A single decision cascades. A single error multiplies. Decentralized failures are quiet, constant, contained. Small businesses fail. Local projects collapse. The system survives. One collapses spectacularly. The other erodes slowly. Which failure you prefer depends on what you value more: order or resilience. Modern hybrids. No modern system is pure. Governments decentralize enforcement. Markets centralize settlement. Platforms centralize interfaces while decentralizing production. Power now hides in layers, APIs, protocols, rule sets. The center is no longer a place. It is a process. Control is exercised through standards, through access, through permissions. Technology and reconfiguration. Every major technological shift lowers coordination costs. And every time it does, power migrates. Printing weakened centralized truth. Electricity weakened geographic centers. Telecommunications compressed distance. The internet weakened gates. But it did not eliminate control. It redistributed it, from locations to systems, from buildings to code. The question that remains. The real question is not centralized or decentralized. The real question is, where is failure allowed to happen? At the edges or at the core? Because every system fails. The only difference is how. Closing. The structure you live inside. Every system you touch, money, media, identity, movement, is shaped by this ancient tension. Some paths lead through gates, others through networks. Neither is neutral, but both leave fingerprints. Power is not seized, it is embedded. And the future will belong to the structures that absorb stress without collapsing. If this episode changed how you see the world, like this video. Subscribe for the next episode. Because the next chapters explore the real divide of our time. Centralized code versus decentralized code. One concentrates power, the other distributes it. One asks you to trust, the other asks you to verify. One can be changed quietly, the other resists control by design. Share this with someone who still believes power is physical. Comment below with the moment that shifted your perspective. Check the description. The next episodes go deeper into how decentralization challenges money, governments, and reality itself. Because once you understand the difference, you stop seeing the world as solid. You begin to see the rules beneath it. Power and time. Power is not only about control over space, it is control over time. Centralized systems attempt to compress time. They synchronize calendars, standardize schedules, impose deadlines. Decentralized systems fragment time. Local rhythms emerge, seasonal cycles dominate. Adaptation replaces precision. Empires collapse when they can no longer align time between center and edge. Orders arrive too late. Responses come too early.